Hey, what's up? John Beaupre, aka Casino Crime. Hey, I want to take a moment to thank you again for checking out these weekly lessons. I really enjoy making this content for you guys, but all I ask is that you tell me what you want to learn about more, and of course, give me any feedback you have on the content here. So, today's 10-minute PLO lesson is titled Befriending a High Stakes Pro, and today we're going to talk about how to learn from players who are better than you for free. And as you'll see in a moment, of course, one of the biggest barriers to really moving up and being successful in any form of life is getting to know the right people, networking correctly, and personally developing relationships with people who, have a lot of the character traits and skills that you want to have one day. And I think that that's very important in poker. So, as I mentioned a moment ago, the big problem here is befriending a high-stakes pro is actually essential to move past the lower mid-stakes, in my opinion. I don't really know anyone who's made a significant amount of money playing poker who hasn't at one time or another become very close with someone who's significantly better than they are and can show them the ropes in a variety of ways, in terms of emotional control, in terms of bankroll management, in terms of finding good games, learning about new training resources. It's important, of course, and with new training sites and forums and everything, it's certainly a good meeting place for a lot of players. But you have to remember that a lot of players that go to training sites are also small stakes or learning players themselves. So many very accomplished players I've found actually aren't members to training sites, and they're sort of hidden in the backwoods of the poker scene. So we want to befriend those people too. And that's kind of what I wrote here. Most are hard to come by and difficult to extract knowledge from. Hey, anyone who's very successful or busy typically are, they're not so anxious to give their time and knowledge away to people who don't earn it. So the best sources of advice in many cases are also the most difficult to find and spend time with. All right, so here's what most people incorrectly do, and I get these all the time, and so do my friends and other people who I know who are successful poker players. They get people, the most common one is, hey, you want to stake me? I can make us a lot of money. It's a common thing when you're first, maybe you don't have any money, right? If you're maybe a busto low stakes guy, or you just don't really have any experience playing, you think that everyone else is like you, right? You think that nobody else has any money, or you think that everybody has the same mindset that you do, and you think, wow, this guy really wants to make a lot of money like I do, so I'll just tell him that, maybe he wants to do, like I said here, a coaching for profit deal. Once you teach me what I can make us a ton of money. Well, realistically, remember, successful poker players, or anyone that's successful in anything, they kind of have a lot of money. What they don't have a lot of is time. So especially, I see a lot of players, they ask me, not to be, they want to be coach backed or staked for pretty low stakes, frankly. And I've said in the past that for the most part, if I was going to seriously consider a staking deal, I would, especially if it was a coach backing deal where I actually had to invest my time to teach someone how to play, they would have to in turn play pretty high stakes, honestly. Simply because I don't, if I'm going to spend, it takes a lot of time to coach someone, to teach them the skills that it takes to win in today's games, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on someone who can only make me a couple $1,000s. If you're going to teach someone to the skills that it takes, I want it to certainly be more than my hourly for coaching, and certainly more than my hourly than playing. So this is a thing that I think a lot of players mistakenly, the approach that they mistakenly take. And of course, my all-time favorite is, you're at a cocktail party, maybe it's like a business networking event or something, and someone learns that you play professionally, or that you've had some success at the World Series, and they say, hey, I got a good idea. Why don't I give you money, and then you go to Vegas, and you make money for us, and then we'll split it. Or, we'll go to Vegas, and we'll put our money together, and we'll chop it. And of course, that doesn't make much sense to me or to anybody else who knows how to play poker correctly, right? It's wait, let me get this straight. You want to stake me? That doesn't really make sense. So this is the approach that most players take. And I think that a lot of players, as I mentioned a moment ago, they think like they're going to be making a ton of money, but once they learn the secret knowledge that the high stakes guy knows, and that the high stakes guy is going to think that this is a great gold mine as well. But it's really not like that. To most players, you're going to appear like this guy here, just kind of begging for money, and they know that they've kind of got the leverage here, that they've got like the status, like you want what they have, right? So if you kind of approach them like a me, like help me out, help me improve, like help me win tournaments, like teach me how to play, and I don't have to risk anything, I don't have any skin in the game, no, they're going to be a lot less likely to help you. So what we're going to work on today, what we're going to talk about, is kind of the solution to that, right? And what you want to do first is really become a trusted advisor, okay? And from my experience, and a lot of these tips come from a book, one of my favorite books, I should say, which is called The Education of Millionaires. It's a great book. I really recommend picking it up. It's actually a book that focuses on the education of people who didn't graduate college, and a lot of today's most successful entrepreneurs that are 40 years old or less. There's some amazing tips in there, and part of the book really focuses on building a network, finding trusted mentors, and developing skills at a high level. It's awesome. So check it out. But anyhow, what he says, and I thought that it was really awesome that I took away, is he says you want to become a trusted advisor, because even the most successful people in the world, and this is certainly true with poker players, is that although a lot of them have a lot of money by most people's standards, they really struggle in the other areas that I have listed here, which is either health or relationships. So, somebody who typically has a really great relationship, maybe they are really struggling with money, or they're struggling with health. So, in one of these three areas, typically somebody is very strong, but at least in one of them, they're weak. So, if you can help them and make it easy for them to get help in one of these areas, a lot of times they'll be willing to do it in exchange for some of their knowledge or expertise. And as a general tip, we're trying to focus on giving, like relentlessly giving them value. Anytime you have a touch point or contact with these people, we want to give them value, but don't expect anything in return. If you are looking to befriend somebody who has a higher status than you in something that you are trying to improve your skills in. So, let's say that you're in a social situation. It could be like a business conference. Maybe you're like out at the World Series, and you're like on break at a tournament, or maybe there's even like somebody who's a really great player who is better than you, and you want to learn kind of what you could help them with. Well, here's the questions that you can ask them. The first one is, what's challenging for you in your life or your business right now? And most people will answer this honestly, right? If it's a business person, maybe they need help with their marketing, or maybe they really need help with product development. If you're in a social context, you're at a bar or you're at a party, you can ask, what's the most exciting thing for you right now in your life or business? And this will at least give you some insight, or allow you to get a read, so to speak, on what this person is passionate about, what they really care about, and allow you to gain some insight into what you can help them with. Remember, this is all in the effort to find what you can help them with, what you can give them, basically guilt-free or purchase-free value in exchange for helping you with your poker game. Give. That's all we're talking about, is giving. So I thought of a few ideas, and I think that they're pretty good. Frankly, when I first started playing cards, the way that I found players who were better than me and that were willing to teach me a couple of things is I basically did number one here, which was do the grunt work away from the tables for the players that you want to learn from. Personally, these are the things that I really kind of dread doing. The easy part is actually playing on the felt, but what I don't like is running simulations in Poker Juice, or tirelessly wasting time like typing out Pro Poker Tools syntax, and that's a really, really easy way for you to get to know better players than you. Another strategy I would say is keep an eye out for good videos that other good players might want to watch. Actually, a lot of the best players in the world, they're not on Run It Once or PLO Quick Pro or any of the other bigger sites as often as you are, right? Like a lot of the guys who are really learning the game sort of have their thumb on the pulse of the industry. So if you come across things that could be really useful that maybe other players haven't heard about, that can be extremely helpful and get other players to kind of notice you and willing to give you time. I'll give you an example. When I first started playing, I bought a book called Advanced PLO Theory by a guy named Tom Chambers, and this was like a $2,500 ebook, and it was a significant investment for my bankroll at the time. But the other like great players that I knew, they didn't have this knowledge, right? Nor did they have the time to really dive into the book and figure out the golden nuggets that could help their game. So what I did was I went through that book, I learned a lot of the best pieces of it, and I helped teach it to them. And not only that, a lot of them, Pro Poker Tools was pretty new at the time, so educating them on that software was also like a way for me to give them value and also give them the time to like teach me the stuff that I didn't know, right? Second, I would say like a nutritionist or a personal chef or a personal trainer is another easy way to give value to poker players. A lot of them are like 90% of pros are pathetically out of shape. They really are. It's not like a real healthy type of profession or hobby for people. So that's an easy way to like, help them improve their lives. Third, I suggested here was hook them up with a girl. Like find them a relationship, get them a girlfriend. And this is kind of the golden ticket, mainly because, again, as bad as poker players are with their health, typically, I would say they're even worse with women and in social situations. Many poker players that I know, it's no secret, are pretty socially awkward. So if you can help them in this area, it's pretty much the golden ticket to getting them to open up about their poker games to you. And the fourth tip that I thought was certainly an idea is give them personal tours of where you live or provide some other type of expertise. Maybe they want to learn French. Maybe they want to learn how to play the guitar. Or maybe they are really into snowboarding and they want someone who's an expert, who's been to Whistler before or who's been to Utah or Colorado, that knows the terrain and can take them on a really sweet tour. And I actually saw this on Cole South's blog several years ago, where he offered some some poker lessons in exchange for some snowboarding lessons in Whistler. I believe it was. So I think that if you kind of have your antenna up and you're reading some poker players' blogs, you're going to get an idea of what they like, what their interests are, and you can easily reach out to them and give away something free. So those are a couple of ideas that I would suggest. And what's the most important part about all of that? We'll make it easy for them to just call down, right? Poker players in general, even the best ones, are pretty inherently lazy. They're used to things being easy, and if you make it hard for them in any way, they're probably going to give you sort of a half-assed response, or they're going to be less likely to want to do business with you, so to speak. And I think that this is certainly true with even when you're reaching out to successful people in other areas too. If you are trying to get a good response or the response that you want, you have to make it easy for them. Especially if someone's very busy, and certainly if they have a lot of money, like what reason do they have to talk to you? And although that sounds kind of snotty, arrogant, and you of course know that you deserve to have time spent on you, you have to make it easy for them or they won't do it. Just trust me on that part. All right, so that's the lesson for today. As I mentioned, I really want to know what you want to learn, and it's a lot more enjoyable for me if I'm talking about topics that people enjoy listening to. So, as I've mentioned in my emails, I'm very passionate about connecting with as many PLO players as possible. So the way that you can do that is either to leave feedback on the video here, or you can email me, casinocrime@ploquickpro.com, and I'd love to hear from you. So to all of the people who have emailed me on the previous videos, I appreciate it, and I love hearing from you guys, and I look forward to hearing more from you in the future. Good luck, and I'll see you next time. Take care.